We're here in MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, California on May 1st in preparation for the May 1st mobilization with David Huerta, president of SEIU USWW. David, thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me this morning. We're looking forward to a very powerful day today.
Well, this is certainly a good start, a pre-dawn press conference, and we see a number of sectors represented here. Tell us, what are the major points of this mobilization today here in Los Angeles?
Well, you know, I think it's important that the resistance in the sense of immigration and defending immigration rights started here. It starts in Los Angeles in the sense of its march and resistance towards that. So here in Los Angeles, we want to send a strong message to D.C. and to everybody that here in California and here in Los Angeles, we defend our sanctuary cities, we defend our immigrant community, and we're going to continue to do so in the face of hostility of D.C. And then I think overall is we really want to send a message to the rest of the country that, you know, we have nothing to fear. We as a community will not live in fear, and we will continue to move forward and continue to fight against deportation and fight for unifying families, keeping families united.
The message that this caravan against fear that has been on the road for 20 days and is now back in Los Angeles has been carrying across the country. This was a project that SEIU had a fundamental role in organizing. What was the objective of sending a caravan across California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and back again at this time?
Well, it was essential to addressing the fear that our community is experiencing at this moment in time. Through California, we're supporting SB 54, which is a sanctuary state, and ensuring and protecting that continues to be preserved here in California, throughout the state of California. Also, like I said, going out and really addressing the issue of fear in our communities and letting people know they are not alone in their fight for justice and their fight for immigration reform and their fight for immigration justice. And letting folks know that we should not live in fear, that our families need to stay united, and we have to resist and follow our resistance and find the intersection of our resistance with other communities.
Speaking of intersection, you're a union representative. How do you see the issues of immigration and unionization coming together now?
Well, they've always, I mean, Justice for Janitors is the marriage between working people's issues and the issue of immigration. It's one of those first campaigns, aside from the farm workers, that really found the intersection between those two issues of workers' rights and immigration rights. And I think what we're signing now is the expansion of intersection of our fights around environmental justice, racial justice, gender justice, and economic justice with immigration justice. Because everybody right now is feeling the hostility of Washington, D.C. from this Trump administration and finding the hostility against all those the issues of justice in this country.
And this is a major development because it wasn't always the case. There was a time when there was a sense among organized workers that immigrants undercut their ability to organize and improve the situation, but there's been a lot of progress in that sense over the years.
Yeah, no, we look, the way we've approached this is that the actuality is that the exploitation of workers is done by employers who want to exploit workers based on their status. And we want to make sure that one, everybody has a level playing field, and regardless of status, people feel protections as workers. And when we are able to establish the same level of the same playing field and enforcement of workers' issues, regardless of status, we can see that all economic folks rise. And so, you know, that's our intention. And, you know, the community is starting to, they're getting educated around the issues of themselves as workers and the rights they have as workers, that they should not be vulnerable just because of their status. Issues of exploitation of wage theft, or issues of health and safety in the workplace, and all these things that a lot of our folks have experienced over time, it's starting to be addressed by the state and by organizations such as ourselves and other organizations starting to address these issues and say, regardless of status, workers have rights.
Particularly important at this time. We've seen a threat from Trump against the sanctuary cities now in another executive order, and yet California is really probably the most progressive in standing up to that. And your union has been supporting that process. How do you think it's going?
I think it's going great. I think California stands by itself in its sense of its unity, its diversity, its solidarity, its resistance. I think we stand in that space because we've seen what we've done from the Prop 187 back in '94 when they attacked our communities, and we saw how devastating that was to the state. And since then, California has made a 100% transformation to a state that embraces its diversity, embraces the most vulnerable, and makes sure that there's justice for all folks. So I really think that what we are is a model for the rest of the country, and I'm hoping that over time that we're going to be, what we're doing here in California is going to be, be something that's going to be moved throughout the country. Because I really think where California's at is where the country's going.
And this law, SB 54, that would make it virtually a sanctuary state, is actually called the California Values Law. So the implication is that we're looking at something beyond politics here that has to do with that coming together of sectors and represents a stance on a different set of values for the country. What are those values?
Well, those values mean that regardless of what language you speak, regardless of the color you are, regardless of your status, that we're all Californians. And that as Californians, we have to really pull together and really advocate for the best of all of us, right? Value hard work, value the contributions of all communities, value our communities, and so, those values are something that I think is unique to California at this moment in time in this country. And I think it's something, again, that I think what you see here is going to be the model for the rest of the country. It's not right now in this moment. It's showing itself through the resistance. And the resistance, if anything, is the values that we have here in California.
Well, certainly on the caravan, we've been reporting that we saw, if not a statewide movement, many areas in which those values were taking root, and certainly something that's needed in every state and across the country. Well, David Huerta, thank you very much for being with us here, and we'll be talking later in the day. What do you expect to see today?
I expect to see thousands and thousands of people in the streets of LA, coming together and saying that we demand immigrant justice, we demand racial justice, we demand environmental justice, we demand gender justice, we demand economic justice, and that we as Los Angeles are going to come together for that fight.
Great. Well, thank you very much.